Hey there.
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and make you the host in case you need to screen share or anything.
Awesome. I am going to need to do that. So that is perfect.
Perfect.
Thanks.
No problem.
What's
hello,
up,
Mr.
fine people?
Neikirk.
Hey, Cece.
My mom says hello.
Oh, good. You tell Sharif I also say hello. All right, getting the last few in here. How's everyone doing on this fine rainy day?
Hanging in there.
My daughter this morning told me that she loves the rain and wishes it was rainy all the time. And I thought about disowning her from the family.
Rain all the time is no good, but I do like a rainy day. We can just curl up with a blanket and a spooky movie.
Yeah, once in a while, that's good. And I told her also she should just move to Pennsylvania if that's what she liked, because that's the way it is all the time up there.
Yeah.
Like 300 days a year.
Same thing in Florida.
I hear there's a lot of sunshine in Florida. I don't know about that.
Well, but it rains every morning if you
That's
just
true.
about every morning there if you do that.
They have like 5-minute crazy storms in Florida. Like it'll just rain so hard, but only for 5 minutes and then it's sunny.
Yeah.
So, all right, we got our last few stragglers coming on board here. Oh, that's the wrong thing.
Mr. Neikirk, are you getting attendance or you want me to?
I am getting attendance. It's so much fun to do it again.
Look at you. You're like a teacher.
You know, back in the day, I got to have fun before I got entrapped into the world of spreadsheets and board meetings.
Sarah, where did that picture come from? Like, it's ringing a bell, but I can't place it.
You can find it on Google.
Okay.
Scary.
Yeah.
I was the one that drew that.
Were you?
It was in piano class.
Beautiful.
And either I closed my eyes or Tori Rhymes blindfolded me and I tried to draw the Mona Lisa.
I mean, it's pretty good.
Darn right it is. What do you think it's on Google Images?
Fair enough, I guess. What do I have to look for?
Yeah, that's the pinnacle of achievement, I think.
You would have to look up who Leonardo da Vinci took his inspiration from to find that picture. but just look up Allegro and I think it pops up.
But actually, Miss McClellan, it's not letting me do attendance the normal way, and I'm worried I'm going to break something and then Miss Kelly is going to injure me. Would you mind importing it on your side?
I will absolutely take care of it.
Thank you. It's like, it gives me far too much power, and that is really scary, Hunter. I'm officially worried about your mental state right now.
Why are you worried, Mr. Neikirk? I'm totally fine.
Yeah, there's nothing creep. Oh yeah, Thomas there,
That's
living
what
in
a
the past as
not
well.
totally fine person would say.
Sarah? I'm fine, okay.
Green screen background.
Hunter.
Melissa,
All right.
I should feel about this. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't like the whole virtual background business and all that. I'm fine with, no background because you're showing the world, or just like not video, but the whole, like, I suddenly start losing an arm, or like, it looks like I'm in San Francisco and suddenly terrorists have attacked the Golden Gate Bridge and it's falling apart. Like that, I don't like that.
One thing I don't
Yeah.
like is going to a Zoom class and I have nothing to wear. I really like to grab this.
Well, I'm glad you have something to wear. We're all thankful for that.
I'm
Oh.
glad too.
All right. So Miss Darling was supposed to give you a reminder yesterday, like I did a week ago, that you're all supposed to have picked out a fun little career and known how much it would pay, and not like President of the United States, but like a job you would conceivably have when you enter the workforce here. If you haven't done that, use your computer real fast and find a job that you know how much it will pay. It can tell you how much it pays per hour, per week, per every semi-monthly paycheck, which would be twice a month, per year, whatever. Just figure out how much it makes. And then through the magic of spreadsheets, you will get everything else you need. All right. So if you don't lie to me, but does everyone have their career and salary in mind? Yeah. So we're going to have some fun with spreadsheets now. So I'm going to share this bad boy with you. And I'm going to send this out to everyone. Okay. Can you see the screen now? Okay. Thanks for the thumbs up, Hunter. Yeah, I'm creepy with Zoom. I make it so I can still watch you, even though you can't see me when I share my screen. So if you have a problem, like use the chat, raise a hand, or raise an actual hand, and I'll try to get a hold of you, or just speak up there. So going through, I'm going to upload it to the Canvas page and I'll email it out to you, but it's in Numbers, the spreadsheet format that is on all of your MacBooks. So if you've never opened that, just open it and it'll tell you like new features and you can click continue. But a spreadsheet is a super powerful tool. It's a really fancy name for a calculator that you can save on your computer and change. So up here, you can change where it says your name, so people know it's yours and not CC's. And then you're going to calculate how much money you're going to have per month. And I did the hard work for you. So if you're going to make $10 an hour, suddenly it changes how much you make per month. It already has the formula in there. If you're going to make $2,000 a week only by selling things online, my next door neighbor's cousin started doing it last month, and you can too. It'll do it for you. All right. So the one thing you have to do then is tell this box up here which thing you put in. So in a quick show of hands or chats, if you're not using video, how many of you have figured out an annual wage, how much you'll make in a year at this new career you're going to be employed in? Okay, that's a good amount of you. Yep, thanks for entering in the chat there. How many of you figured out how much you'd make per hour? That would be different than the two per year. Like if you did all of them, just raise your hand for one of them. All right, how many of you figured it out per week? All right, and if any of you need like a per day option or something, feel free and we'll put it in here. But what you do then is you double click on this little box. It's technically cell B2, so columns get letters, columns go up and down, rows go side to side. So rows are numbers like 2, 3, 4, 5. Columns are letters, A, B, C, D. Columns, rows. All right, everyone see what I'm saying there about columns and rows on a spreadsheet? I know, how could anyone ever make spreadsheets as interesting as I do? I get it, it's a gift. So column B, row 2 is our little paycheck thing. Notice how it lights up in a light blue shade down here? That's because it's pulling the information from this cell, from cell C, whatever. So if I double click up here, it shows me my formula. Do you all see that on your screen? Did the magic of computerism work? Is my screen now showing you something that says FXC $5? Well, that's unfortunate. In that case, we're going to show it to you a different way. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to stop my screen share. We can't have nice things anymore. And then I'm going to open my chat. Sorry, I've never screen shared a spreadsheet while I edited a formula before. So this is a new experience for all of us. All right, so I just shot in the chat a nice little screenshot of it. All right, so I double clicked on row B2 where it said $1,200 and that pulled up my formula. So where it says C $5, that's the hourly wage. I was telling to calculate by hourly wage. If I want to use annual wage, I just delete the C $5 and I click down here where it says C8. And now it changed. So now on my shared screen where it says paycheck line B2, does the number now say 1875? Yay, good deal. So if I change my annual wage, maybe you're a baller and you're making 40,000 a year running your own like grass cutting, pet sitting and grooming business, because what's the difference between cutting grass and cutting a dog's hair? Then you can suddenly make more money. Maybe you decided you really want to work and become a artisan zucchini grower and you're only making $12,000 a year. So we just edit that and it changes it out. Okay. So when you get this thing, you just put in how much you make and then you select the one that you want. Since most of you had the annual amount, I'm going to leave it as the annual amount as its default setting. All right. So someone that has an annual wage, in fact, all of you in the chat, go ahead and put in your job, whether it's annual or weekly or hourly, and the wage that you expect to be earning when you enter the workforce. Let's see what we've got here. What are our careers? Ooh, Miss McClellan, a little dark, but I like it. All right, all right. Sarah did a really interesting thing where she put down the US average, which is a great thing to know. There will be a big difference between a person in that occupation who works in the middle of Nebraska and one that works in Charleston and one that works in Los Angeles. So just make sure as you're thinking about careers and everything, you think about where you might want to live also as part of that. Those will have big factors. If you want to be a crane operator for a port, like the Port of Charleston, you can make $90,000 a year doing that. And doesn't require going to college or anything, that's great, but you're not going to have that job in the middle of Texas. Well, you will on the coast of Texas some, but yeah, if you want to live in like the mountains, you're not going to work in a port. So just think about things like that. Yeah, all right, getting some good things in there. So yeah, so I'm going to go with this nice achievable one that Sarah gave me with an annual salary. We're going to go with $54,000 in our example here. So that would be a really sweet amount to be making as you enter the workforce. And it's kind of unrealistic because you're not going to enter it as a manager generally. But that's something that, you know, we can think about way into the future there about everything. Marilyn, I really hope you you meant exactly what you wrote there. Fantastic answers here. All right. I can speak for all music educators that no, we make nowhere close to that. That would be the maximum amount after teaching like for 25 years and getting a doctorate, then we'd make about that much in South Carolina. If we were living in New York or Massachusetts or Connecticut, yeah, that's more achievable. But yeah, being a music teacher, you're not making anywhere near that. Yeah. Interesting thing that Alyssa put about maybe a college professor would make more. College professors on average make less than a public school teacher. It's just they can pick up sweet schedules, and you have even longer breaks, and you get to work with like more high-end theories and people that can generally produce things at a higher level. So a lot of people enjoy that. And the very top of college pays more. But just so you know, that's something that a lot of colleges hire adjunct professors where you're working like in a part-time position, don't even get benefits. Some people do really well with it. A lot of people though, it's not as much. So ask people in the field, ask people that are out there to get to it. All right. So back to
college or sports coaching at a college. At Winthrop, you can look up in the library how much all the professors make, and the basketball coach made almost as much as the president of the university.
Yeah, the highest paid employees in the state of South Carolina are the football coaches for Clemson and South Carolina, and it's followed by like the assistant football coaches for Clemson and South Carolina. And then it's followed by like the basketball coaches at Clemson and South Carolina. But then most of the people that are in those roles, like, you know, way down the line, they don't make nearly as much. So a lot of those, yeah. Yeah, going into music, generally, you're going into it for the passion. Same thing with like cooking or culinary arts. You're going into because of the passion and the love for it, less than, you know, the financial aspects of it. But that's okay. If you're working for money, you're probably going to be unhappy most of your life. Yeah. All right. So back to sharing the spreadsheet here. All right. So we calculated 54,000 a year because I'll lie to you all and give you an unrealistic life for your starting job. And so that calculates over here in this screen because it takes my annual amount, it divides it by 12 months in the year. We want to go with annual salaries. Most of your bills are going to be coming on a monthly basis. So we're going to break it down into a monthly salary. So that way you can figure out how much money you're getting in each month, how much money you're paying out each month. So then why does this paycheck up here say so much less than 54,000 divided by 12? Who can think of the answer?
Taxes.
That's a big one. Good old Uncle Sam. He needs his money too. You want to have a place with hospitals and schools and fire departments and police departments and some people who make and enforce laws and maybe a military to protect you and someone to make sure that the water doesn't just have raw sewage flushed into it all the time. So you got to pay money to help with that. So you pay taxes. Then you'll have different plans, whether it's Medicaid, Social Security, Medicare. Maybe you'll have some different mandatory employment issues, but generally assume you're going to be getting about 3/4 of the money that it says you're getting. If you don't have that money taken out of your paycheck, they just give you all the money. Generally, that means you're an independent contractor. That'll give you something called a 1099 at the end of the year. That's just a part of the tax code. People that have a salaried position get a W-2 form. People that are contracted get a 1099. If you're getting a 1099, you've got to pay all your taxes on your own at the end of the year. So you think you're making lots of money, but you've got to be saving a third of that throughout the year to make sure you have enough to pay the taxes, because the government will just like go into your bank account and take your money. It's not yours if you haven't paid your taxes. So just keep that in mind. So your general amount of money that you actually get to put in your bank account each month will be a lot less than that starting amount that we had, right? You see how much it dropped down? We started with $54,000 a year. That became $4,500 a month, and that became $3,375 you actually get to use. All right. So maybe you have additional income. Maybe you're working a side hustle, teaching some music lessons on the side, helping a buddy, fix up his car, painting a house, babysitting, dog walking, driving for Uber, whatever it is. Maybe you're doing some kind of side hustle. Maybe you wrote music and Leapfrog bought it and they're paying you royalties. I have a friend who did that. Don't laugh too much. But let's say you're making an extra $100 a month in side hustle monies. All right. So now your total income, $3,475 for the month. Time to figure out how much we're spending. See these red cells down here? Red means don't touch. You'll break my spreadsheet if you mess with the red. The red will fill up automatically. All right, look at our housing a little lower. All right, so just making sure I can keep seeing that. I put in $700. That's assuming you're living in a more expensive place, kind of like the Charleston area, and you're living with a roommate in like a perfectly average place. So there's two of you splitting this $1,400 a month. If you live in Ohio, Indiana, West Virginia, you can like rent an entire like 2-bedroom apartment for yourself for like $400 a month. Like land is way cheaper there. It's also an area not many people want to live in. Things are more run down. There aren't as many jobs. It's not as sunny. So those things cost a lot less. My sister just had to move to San Francisco because of her husband's job. They're paying over $5,000 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. Like, it's ridiculous how much things cost out there. And they used to live in Boston and New York City. They thought they were used to expensive housing. They apparently only go expensive places. So when you have these kinds of expenses, you're going to change it. So maybe you're living at home with your parents for a few years, which if you don't hate them and they're willing to let you do it, that's a great financial move. But don't do it and not pay them money. Maybe you pay them money and they save it to give you a present later on, but make sure you get in the habit of paying money for where you live. Otherwise, you're going to struggle in life as you have to pay money for where you live. So if you live at home with your parents, maybe you pay them $250. Whoops. Sorry, Kyla. I didn't mean to send that to you in a message. I clicked on the wrong part of the screen. So let me alter my spreadsheet. So now you're spending $250 a month there. If you look up at housing total, my red cell just changed numbers because it's linked into these other things. So you're going to change things when I send you this spreadsheet down here. C11 to however many we add on there eventually. So $250 there for housing. Maybe you want to live on your own and you're able to find a great deal on just like a room in some old lady's house in a fancy part downtown. I knew people that used to be able to find those deals and it's $900 a month. Great. Maybe you bought a house and you're renting it out and your mortgage is only $700 a month because it is in West Virginia. But then you still need to think about how much your taxes are for your house there, how much your insurance is on the house there. So those kinds of things you need to put in and factor it into that line. So we'll leave that at who wants to stay living in the Charleston area? Throw it in the chat. Just say Charleston or where you want to live if it's different. And yeah, Latson area to Hollywood, LA to Hollywood, that's all Charleston area. We're just going to say it even though it's very different. Ooh, Jay, good luck. Alyssa, Charleston's expensive for South Carolina, but it is not that expensive nationally. Oh, Richmond's a fun town. All right.
I got nothing because I'm just planning on staying on the base.
That's exactly right. Military is great. I mean, my brother is in the military and their house in Hawaii is like on a cliff over the ocean. They have whales in their backyard all the time. It's nuts. And they
Yeah,
don't
I
pay that
plan to
important.
just move. Like I have a mindset of I do not care where I live. All I need is something to sleep on, somewhere to eat, and something in a book to keep me entertained.
There you go. I like it. Yeah, so international things, that's a whole nother ball game. That changes things a lot. So we'll just keep it local. I see enough people saying things about Charleston that we're able to, we'll use prices that are normal around here for that. So let's say you're living with a roommate, $700 a month. If you don't want to live with a roommate, you better make a lot more money, or you had better figure out how to make everything else in your life a lot cheaper. Anyways, groceries. So that's like stuff you're going to get and eat and make it where you can, feed yourself and stay alive. There are cheap ways to do this. You can learn the stores that will sell you like expired and damaged food, like the cans have dents in them. And yeah, maybe the expiration date's passed, but the food isn't actually spoiled. Make sure you do some research and know what you're doing. Botulism is a real thing and you can die from it. But there are really cheap ways. I know some people that spend less than $80 a month on groceries. If you're a person with a family, you spend way more than that. So what I spend isn't really useful. But Miss McClellan, you're a person who does not have a family. Sorry, not to rub it in. But just like saying
I have
you're
a family, I don't live with them.
Well, do you though?
It's debatable.
I'm sorry. Me, Mr. Neikirk here again. So what would you think is it a reasonable grocery bill for a person feeding just themselves in
For
Charleston?
a month?
Yep.
$250.
Well, good. That's what I put on the spreadsheet.
Oh my God, amazing.
Look at that.
I actually was not even looking at it. I was just guessing.
Yeah. Thanks for paying attention. So, all right. So I'm pretty spot on there. Maybe you really like to cook a lot and you like high-end groceries. So you go to like Trader Joe's and you shop at the bougie grocery stores where they pre-chop the vegetables for you and you get lots of, pre-made sausage that is full of artisan herbs. So you could, potentially spend a lot more. Or you can be like LeBron maybe will be, or I was, and my brother-in-law was in the past, where we would get like the same 3 things and like live off rice and beans for a long time. And we would spend like under $100 a month on groceries.
Thank you. My mom and my brother showed me how to shop for myself. All you need is rice, meat, and something else.
You don't even need meat really, but you might like it. I get it. You need some with protein for sure though. All right. So yeah, that's one thing, that making your own food is far healthier than things that are full of packaging. So I'm gonna end this for a second. Real talk with Mr. Neikirk here. There's a lot of unhealthy habits in America right now. The biggest one is just buying food that's already been made for you or prepared. So like if you can cook it by only unwrapping it and putting it in the oven or microwave, that's not very healthy probably. You want things as close to how they were originally formed as possible. So like if you can recognize it, if it's not in that food, that's good. Like you can see green beans and be like, those are green beans. When they're chopped up so tiny that it's just like a little fleck of green, that's probably not that healthy, even though it has green beans. So just think about that. And if you can't pronounce everything on the back of the label, that's probably not great for you either. If it needs lots of chemicals to preserve it, maybe not good. But here's the thing. If you're buying all this fresh produce and stuff, it's gonna spoil if you don't use it. So you've got to plan ahead. You've got to think about what you're doing. And then you've got to stick to it, because if you like bought all these vegetables, you're going to cook, and then you decided to like, oh, my friends invited me out, I'm going out on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday you have to stay late at work so you don't get home in time to cook, and you stopped and got pizza, and then you ate leftovers the next day. Suddenly you're at the point where all these things are rotten. So don't buy more than you can handle in a few times. Okay, just be careful about that.
So basically make meal preps.
Plan ahead and be realistic. Don't try to plan for 2 weeks if you are never able to stay on a schedule for more than 2 days.
Prep me a week's worth of meal and keep milk in the freezer.
There, well, yeah, you want things can change your texture though. All right, where'd my chat window? There we go. Yeah, and yeah, frozen vegetables are great. Canned vegetables are great also, actually. They get like put in right away. They keep most of their nutrients. So yeah, anyways. All righty. So car insurance will change, but that's one of those big factors into having a car. Everyone's so excited to get a car, but if your parents insist on you paying for car insurance, you may not be as excited for very long. All right. Yeah. Making a list and sticking to it when you shop is extremely key to staying on a budget. Your gas for said car. Gas prices tend to fluctuate. They go up a lot around hurricane time of year. Anytime there's a big storm that hits Louisiana, that's where most of the refineries are. So that makes it go up. They tend to go down right before political elections because the politicians in office want to make sure that people remember how cheap things were when they were electing. Maybe you remember back in October, gas was like 40 cents cheaper than it is now, if not more than that. So that's just one of those cycles that happens like every year you get used to as a grown-up and seeing. Car maintenance. This isn't repairs like you got into a car accident. This is just like your car will need oil changes, and it will need, like to get cleaned once in a while if you don't want it to just rust out. It'll need windshield wipers, headlight bulbs, all those things we talked about. They add up. All right, your utilities. These things are not included in your rent and housing costs normally. But you notice if we change them, they will change our upper area on the spreadsheet there. So utilities get pretty expensive. Once again, it's great to have a roommate because then you can split that cost in half. So it's not unusual to pay like $50 a month just for the privilege of having water in your home. That allows you to run water from the tap and to put water down the drain and it not go into your yard, but it actually go out to a treatment plant somewhere. You probably want something to have electricity and like natural gas for heating. And then you have to pay a company to haul off your garbage. If you live in an apartment complex, that's probably included in that. But if you like live in your own area, you've got to pay someone to take your garbage, or you can haul it yourself to the dump. But that's something to think about. Those utilities, they keep coming around. Entertainment. Maybe you want to go out to the movies, buy some concert tickets, you're downloading an app and it costs $4. That money is coming from you working. So you got to think about that. This would also include if you're like, oh, I want to go on a trip to see a friend, so I'm going to buy a $39 ticket. That's not a vacation. That's just like entertainment. So, but you need to think about how much realistically you'll pay there. If you decide to go to college and take out student loans, you've got a big chunk of change coming your way. So you need to make sure that you think about how much that costs. Cell phones, you can have really different cell phone plans. You get a Verizon with unlimited data and be paying like $130 a month, or you can get a cheap plan with Tello and have an old phone you brought and be paying $10 a month. So up to you how much you want to pay for a cell phone plan. You can even use some different strategies of Wi-Fi and Google Voice and things to have like no cost for that. That's one of the big differences today. People didn't used to have cell phones or cable or streaming services or internet, so you didn't have to pay for all those things. We did have to pay for long distance telephone calls though. It's crazy. But just think about if you need that cell phone plan, if you really need it. And then you need to pay if you're having cable or internet in your house, or, Fios, whatever they'll call them with the new things. A lot of times you probably don't need both the cell plan and the internet to be the high-end one, but some people just do it all because they don't want to research it. Down here, I put transportation, not your car. That all ties up into the cell that is getting around. They all tie together. So if you don't have a car, you get to delete out your car insurance and gas and car maintenance. And that would apply generally to people who live in a larger city like Boston or Seattle and just use like the subway or the T or the L, depending on its name in the city. But you use public transit and Uber and maybe a good bike and some bike repair shop, expenses. So just moving you around category. Eating out. This can go under food, or you could put it under fun, which I'll get to in a minute. But I put it under food. So that way you look at your grocery costs, plus it ties into your expenses for anytime you go to a restaurant. This stays pretty cheap if you're like, splitting a pizza with two other. You can like split that money and Venmo and Cash App and everything, make that really easy. Or it gets really expensive if you want to like take out your parents to dinner. Great, they want your whole budget for the month, especially if they order any kind of alcohol or anything, because that stuff will like double your cost quickly. If you work as a food and bev manager, you'll learn real fast that pretty much all your profit comes from liquor sales. So that's something that it's just really expensive. If you avoid that, you'll save so much money. Streaming services. Yeah, you've got Amazon Prime. Oh, you also wanted Netflix? What's that? You got HBO Max, Disney Plus. Oh, I decided I wanted Hulu also. Suddenly it costs more for all your streaming services than you would have paid for cable TV. Oh, you have that too? Wow, you're paying like $200 a month just to spend time watching things you don't care about. So just think about that. Every time you sign up for a streaming service, it's reoccurring. And yeah, some of them it's legal to share things between, but other times you just kind of do it because someone logged in and they never logged you out. But also remember that things like cell phones and some other things have like family plans, and you can save money if they're not your family members. You can just do those things with friends. So make sure there's someone you trust and isn't going to leave you with the whole bill at the end. But that's something that is a great way to share and save money. Clothes and home furnishings. This is stuff I do not budget for generally because my wife will tell you, much to her chagrin, I don't buy clothes really, and I don't buy things for the house either. Like I'll find something broken and fix it up, or I'll get something out of the trash and use it because it's new to me. Like I am really cheap and I don't care about those things. But
just like my brother.
Yeah, most people need to like buy clothes on a fairly regular basis because they wear out, or something called going out of fashion. I don't know. But yeah, you can get those secondhand. No one else knows that it's new and vintage is cool now, according to Chapman. So just realize that there are ways to get things much cheaper than the catalogs that show up in the junk mail and tell you that you have to spend $200 on a shirt to look acceptable. It's not true. Home furnishings and repairs, that's like toilet paper, paper towels, some new dish towels, a sponge to clean the dishes. You need a new broom, you need a vacuum, you need like glass cleaner. You have all these things going on that is, adding up throughout the month just to keep the space you live in not disgusting. That money, once again, has got to come from somewhere. So just think about it. That's not a big repair like my air conditioner broke or the plumbing broke and my house flooded. Those are smaller things in there. All right, so I left a blank line there that we can put things in. And then I have a little line here for vices. The government loves to get vice taxes. Marilyn, that's sad. And vice taxes are when the government says something's bad for you, so we're going to make you pay even more money so that you really suffer if you still want to do it. And that would be things like smoking, drinking, junk food, so sodas. All those things get really expensive. So some people put a separate category. Instead of putting your Starbucks habit into your eating out category, you put in your vices, because that's stuff that like generally your life gets better if you cut them out, and you can see just how much they're costing you. And then the sinking fund is an interesting one. That's where you set up like a separate savings account, like an online one. And that's where you just put money in automatically each month for like new tires, or in case your engine breaks down in your car, in case your air conditioner breaks down. If you have one big tax bill at the end of every year, like an annual tax bill, you're saving money every month to go to that. Same thing if you're like saving for a vacation. Every month you're saving up $60, and then at the end of the year, suddenly you have over $700 to go on vacation. So those are the kinds of things you use a sinking fund for. So you can think about how you want to, structure this. You can change category names. You can change how much goes into each one, but it'll total up how much you're spending, and it'll subtract that from how much you made. And that'll tell you how much is left over in the month. So, wow, we have a lot of money left over. That's because this isn't a realistic budget yet. We haven't really put in how much things are going to cost for a lot of the different areas. And you're not going to be making $54,000 in your first job, pretty much. So we're going to make this a little more reasonable. I went ahead and went on to good old Craigslist. That was like social media for old people back when the internet started in like the 80s or 90s. And so the website still looks like that, but there are jobs that get posted up there all the time. And you can like become a driver for an over-the-road trucking company, or you can work down at the docks. You can be a server at Texas Roadhouse. Yeah, you can deliver with DoorDash and earn up to $17 an hour. Probably not. A restaurant needs a dishwasher in the evenings. There we go. They even provide health insurance. So there's lots of different things that they list on there. They want an administrative assistant. So all I have to do is answer the phones, do everything, different stuff like that. But you're going to have some different categories that come in here. There was a Craigslist killer thing. But you don't go on Craigslist, just so you know. It's a website. That's like going on Facebook and saying people get murdered. So it's the same thing for internet safety, where you just make sure you check with people, don't meet people alone in strange, dark places. So any web page could be an app, you guys. All right. So you're going to make $30,000 a year starting off because you want to have some fun in your life. All right. And then you're going to go and you're going to have these housing expenses and everything. And I'm going to finish this off to put it in so your fun categories. But this is where we need your input. So what kind of categories do you want? We have the total cost of housing. We have your total cost of food, your total cost of getting around, this thing called having fun, which would include like streaming services and movie tickets and stuff. What other like big category do you want to see on this? Feel free to speak or type it in the chat.
It looks like we have all the basic things on there. Oh, pets. Pet.
Sure. All right, excellent. No other questions. Who has a question on how a spreadsheet works? Because your assignment is going to be, I'm going to send you this budget. You're going to change it and make it personal to you. So you can email me or call me and ask me questions. But, if there's a general question you have now, I'll answer it.
What about health expenses? Like, oh, you hurt yourself doing something.
That is a great idea. That would generally be a sinking fund. You're keeping an emergency fund for if you're hurt, if you have to miss work. The general idea is you want to have $1,000 just like in your bank account. Some people will put like $100 bills in a picture frame and have a sign saying break in case of emergency. Like you want to have $1,000 in case you have an emergency. And then once you're more stable, you want to have 3 to 6 months expenses saved up. And that way, if you can't work for a period of time, you don't have to suddenly go into debt or live on the street.
All right. And one more thing is about the cooking. Can we do that when COVID get less? When we get back to school, can we do the whole cooking so I can show them like you don't have to buy things, because this person I know that always goes shopping. Like she always go out to eat, and I always hate it.
Okay, I for a minute I thought you wanted to like grow your own food and like use roadkill as the meat.
No, also possum, you gotta clean that right.
Yeah, possum doesn't taste good.
Okay. Yeah, can you show us how to cook? Yeah, teach us how to grill. I like that, Tom. That's a good idea.
Now,
Can you teach us how
that's
to grill?
what I would do.
Oh, I do like the field trip to the grocery store idea. And yeah, that is an awesome idea, actually. We got that food line right down the street. So, wow.
I tried to apply for them once. Guess what? They sent me a response a year later.
I say. All right. Well, I'm going to send this spreadsheet out to all of you. And before next Wednesday, have it sent back to me. Got it?
Sir.
Any other questions? Miss McClellan, any final things for them before I let them go?
No, just make sure that you have everything that you need for the brainstorm tomorrow. I know several of you have sent us things, so we'll be working on that tomorrow.
Excellent. And Thomas, I think Drill Master would be an excellent title for like the top senior this year. I like Drill Master better. All right. See you, everyone. I'll send out that spreadsheet and just let me know if you have questions.